All right, so get ready, because today we're going to really deep dive into a case that'll make you think.
Yeah.
We're talking Emre Edwards, a serial killer, but his story, it's kind of wild because, get this, he confesses to all these child murders, but only after he kidnaps these three sisters.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is, they escaped,
Oh, wow.
and their bravery, it like forces him to turn himself in.
It makes you wonder, right? Like, what if they hadn't gotten away?
Exactly.
Like, how long would this have gone on?
Oh, for sure. Who knows how long he would kept going under the radar.
Yeah.
So let's rewind back to the beginning.
Okay.
March 6, 1970.
Okay.
Edwards, he walks into a police station with this teenage boy and confesses to kidnapping the three Cohen sisters.
Oh, wow.
Jan, Cindy, and Valerie. And that's when everything changes.
That's crazy. Like, he just walked in with this Pandora's box of secrets and just
I know.
unleashes it all.
I know. It's like, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what does he actually start saying about his past?
So he starts giving all these details about 6 murders. And it goes like way back to 1953
Wow.
with 8-year-old Stella Nolan.
Okay.
He says he strangled her, stabbed her, and then buried her body under this area that was under construction at the time, but it later became part of the Santa Ana Freeway.
Wow, so he's using construction sites to hide his victims.
Yeah.
That's disturbing, but also really clever.
Yeah, it's like he knew exactly what he was doing, you know?
Yeah.
Like how to make it difficult to find them.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, in 1956, he admits to killing his own sister-in-law, 11-year-old Brenda Howell, and her friend, 13-year-old Donald Baker.
Wow.
And he said he slit their throats in the Angeles National Forest.
Oh, my God.
And the police, get this, initially thought they'd run away.
Really?
Yeah, like, can you imagine?
It's crazy how easily things could just get missed back then.
Yeah.
Like, wow, things have changed a lot. But then again, it's scary to think how much we still probably miss.
Absolutely. Like, it just shows we need to be extra careful, especially with missing persons cases.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 1968. Yep. Edwards confesses to 2 more murders.
Okay.
16-year-old Gary Roach and another 16-year-old Roger Madison.
Didn't he bury them near freeways, too?
Yes. He said he shot Gary during, like, this botched assault on Gary's younger sister.
Oh, wow.
And then he stabbed Roger and buried him under the Ventura Freeway.
Gosh, this repeated thing with the freeways
Yeah.
is kind of creepy.
Yeah,
though.
was it just easy or was there something like, I don't know, weirder to it?
Yeah, for sure.
It's unsettling.
So what about his last confession? What was that?
So this one involved 13-year-old Donald Todd
Okay.
in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
Edwards said he lured Donald in with the promise of work and then tried to assault him. And when Donald fought back, he shot him
Oh, my God.
and dumped his body under a bridge.
So he was caught for that one, right?
Well, hikers actually found the body.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So was he charged with all of this?
Initially just with 2 murders, Gary Roach and Donald Todd, because those were the only bodies they had found.
Okay.
But then obviously with all these confessions, the police, they're scrambling to try and find the others.
So did they find Stella Nolan?
They did. It's crazy.
Wow.
They found her skeletal remains right where he said they'd be,
Wow.
under the Santa Ana Freeway.
Wow.
But they couldn't find Brenda and Donald, despite looking really hard.
Yeah, I guess after so long.
Yeah, the time, the weather, the terrain, it all just
Yeah.
makes it difficult.
Yeah. What about Roger Madison? Because he was under a freeway too, right?
Yeah, and that's where things got really complicated, because
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
To dig up a freeway,
Yeah.
it's a huge disruption,
Yeah.
expensive.
Oh, for sure.
So they ended up postponing it.
Wow. That's tough because they need the evidence, but then.
It is. It's a hard situation.
Yeah.
And it just reminds you that justice is never easy,
Yeah.
especially with crimes like this.
Yeah, for sure.
So how did he act during all this?
Yeah, was he sorry?
Well, he actually tried to plead guilty, like a bunch of times.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, I'm guilty and I don't need a lawyer, which is
Wow.
not normal.
Not normal at all.
Yeah, so his attorney, he was like, no, we're doing a not guilty plea,
Okay.
and asked for a psych evaluation.
Okay.
And then there were the suicide attempts in jail, too.
Wow.
It's complicated.
Like, was he really full of guilt or was it something else?
Really hard to say.
Yeah.
But what we do know is he was sentenced to death
Okay.
on May 22, 1970.
Okay.
But during his sentencing, he says something that just
Whoa.
changes the whole game.
Oh, okay. What is it?
So he tries to explain his confession.
Okay.
He claims he was afraid of messing up at work, you know.
As a heavy equipment operator.
Yeah.
Okay.
And accidentally hurting adults.
So he's saying he confessed to these murders to protect adults.
That's what he said.
That's messed up.
It is. It's like he's saying those lives are more
Yeah.
important than the kids' lives.
It's gadulated.
But it gets even crazier.
How can it get crazier?
He says he didn't kill just 6.
Oh, no.
He confessed to killing as many as 18.
18.
Yeah, so now
Wow, this whole case is just blowing up even more.
it just adds a whole other level of complexity.
Yeah.
So we'll look into that and the search for more victims in the next part of our deep dive fit. For now, it's just heavy to think about, 18 lives potentially gone. It's just...
That's a lot.
It is. It's a lot.
Wow.
It really is.
Wow.
It shows how much damage one person can do.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay, so we're back, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around this
Yeah.
18 potential victims.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
It really changes things, yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about how Edwards tried to say he'd taken the blame for a friend.
Right.
But then in that letter to his wife, he mentions Tommy Bowman.
Yeah, Tommy Bowman, remember?
Yeah.
The boy who disappeared while hiking with his family in 1957.
Yeah.
That letter, it's interesting. Because he's trying to, backtrack,
Yeah.
But then he mentions Tommy.
It's like he slipped up
Yeah,
and revealed more than he meant to.
Yeah, exactly.
And plus, he looked a lot like that sketch.
Oh, yeah, one of the man seen with Tommy.
Yeah.
So the investigators, they're thinking, okay, there's something more here.
For sure. It's like he left a trail even when he was trying to cover things up.
Exactly.
So what about those other 4 possible victims?
Okay, yeah.
Bruce Cremen, Karen Tompkins, Ramona Price, and Dorothy Brown.
Right.
They all disappeared around the same time as Edwards was active.
Yeah, and in places where he lived or worked, so...
It's hard to ignore that.
Yeah, and it's just sad to think, back then,
Yeah.
their cases probably weren't looked into as much as they should have been.
It's hard to believe that they used to destroy those files when kids turned 18.
I know, it's crazy.
What if those files had answers?
Yeah, who knows what information we lost?
Exactly.
It just shows how important it is to keep everything on.
Yeah, and to take every report seriously.
Oh, absolutely. Every detail matters.
So how did they even try to connect Edwards to these 4, especially without all those files?
It was tough, like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Yeah.
They had to, track his movements.
Okay.
See where he worked, where he lived, when he traveled,
So, did they find anything concrete?
Well, it was more circumstantial,
Okay.
but they found some links.
Okay, so, what about Bruce Cremen, the boy from the YMCA campout?
So it turns out Edwards was working on a construction project
Okay.
near that campsite
Oh, wow.
around the time Bruce disappeared.
So, geographically, it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible he was there.
And what about Karen Tompkins?
She vanished from a playground, and guess what?
What?
Edwards lived pretty close by.
Oh, my gosh.
So, again, it's possible.
It's scary to think he could just be blending in like that.
Yeah, that's the thing with these guys.
Yeah.
They hide in plain sight.
Yeah. And Ramona Price, your case is really strange.
Yeah, she told her dad she was walking to their new house
And just disappeared.
and never showed up.
And was Edwards working nearby?
He was working on a bridge
Oh, well,
close
yeah.
to that house.
That can't be a coincidence.
It's definitely suspicious.
It makes me think he was using those freeway projects as cover.
Yeah, it's a disturbing thought.
And then Dorothy Brown.
Right, her body was found in the ocean.
So was he connected to that?
It's less clear-cut,
Okay.
but his work did take him near the coast sometimes.
So they haven't ruled him out.
Not entirely.
So even though there's no proof for all 4,
Yeah.
it's still really suspicious.
Yeah, and without those files, it's tough to say for sure.
So frustrating.
Yeah, is especially for the families.
Yeah, they deserve answers.
They do.
So those freeway burial sites,
Yeah.
he said he buried Stella Nolan under the Santa Ana Freeway and Roger Madison under the Ventura Freeway.
Right.
Those searches must have been intense.
Oh, they were huge.
Yeah.
Especially the one in 2008.
Okay, for Roger Madison?
Yeah. They had cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, everything.
Wow.
They even got a DNA sample from Roger's family.
Oh, wow.
It was a big deal.
They thought they were going to find him.
They really did. But after weeks of digging, nothing.
Oh, wow.
It was devastating.
And they also searched for Ramona Price in 2011, right?
Yeah. Near that bridge,
Yeah.
the dogs alerted again.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Wow. So were the dogs wrong or...
It's possible. Or maybe the remains were moved somehow.
Oh, what if he buried them where we can't get to them?
Like under miles of concrete.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
It is. And it's a tough question. Like,
Yeah.
how much do we disrupt things
Yeah.
to find potential remains?
It's a hard balance.
It is.
It makes you think about how much forensic technology has changed.
Yeah, imagine if we could just scan the entire freeway
And know for sure.
and know exactly what's there without digging.
That would be amazing.
It would.
It feels like we're getting closer to that kind of technology, though, right?
I think so. Which could really help solve these old cases.
Yeah, give those families some peace.
Exactly.
It's also important to think about the time when all this was happening.
Right.
People didn't really talk about child abduction or serial killers.
No, not like today.
So it was easier for someone like Edwards to slip through the cracks.
Exactly. And the police weren't as equipped
Yeah.
to handle these kinds of cases.
It's crazy how much things have changed.
It is, but it also shows how much we still need to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
We've come a long way, but there's always more to do.
So we've really dug into this case, and it seems like M. Ray Edwards, he was a predator who, took advantage of the time when people weren't really aware of this kind of danger.
Yeah, like society was maybe a little too trusting back then.
Exactly. But it makes you think about what we can learn from all of this.
Right, like how can we prevent this from happening again?
Yeah, it's easy to focus on the details, the crimes and the searches. But what's the bigger picture here?
Well, for me, one thing that really stands out is how important it is to keep good records.
Yeah, destroying those missing children's files when they turned 18.
I know, it's hard to believe.
It's crazy to think about what information might be gone because of that.
Yeah, those files could have had answers, could have connected cases.
Exactly, and maybe even brought closure to some families.
And it's not just about the files, it's about taking every report seriously.
Yeah, really investigating and following up.
Exactly.
And then there's the technology, imagine if we could scan those freeways.
Oh yeah, like without digging everything up.
And know for sure if there are remains.
That would be incredible, especially for cold cases.
Yeah, it could change everything.
And we're getting closer to that kind of technology, which is exciting.
It is, but it's also important to remember that technology isn't everything.
Oh, for sure. We need trained investigators too.
Yeah, people who know how to handle these cases.
People who are sensitive and compassionate.
Yeah, it's about more than just the technical stuff. And I think we as a society need to be more aware, more vigilant.
Absolutely. We all have a role to play in protecting kids.
Yeah, knowing the signs of abuse, reporting suspicious behavior.
We need to break the silence and make sure kids know they can speak up.
This whole case, it's been really heavy.
Yeah, it's hard to think about.
Knowing that some families may never have answers.
It is, but there's still hope.
Yeah, we've seen how dedicated those investigators are.
And how resilient the families are.
And the technology, it's getting better all the time.
It gives us a chance to find justice, even after all this time.
This case, it's a wake-up call,
It is. We can't be complacent.
We have to learn from the past and keep working to make things better.
For the kids, for the families.
And make sure predators like Edwards are stopped.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, stay curious, stay informed.
I'll never stop seeking the truth.